Welcome back to the B-Main. It's episode number 6. Can't believe we're at 6 already. I think I was just saying that last episode about us being at 5. We got a lot of stuff on the table, but as weirdly, this episode's coming to you on Wednesday morning rather than Tuesday morning. I had a huge test today, and, I was supposed to have it. It actually got moved to Thursday, Gavin, so I actually have some more time to study. But me and Gavin were actually really glad that we got to record today rather than yesterday on Monday, our normal recording day, because a lot of news came into the works. Let's start out with what is hot and what is fresh. The Cars Tour race at North Wilkesboro is going to be on FS1 on the NASCAR All-Star Weekend with Eric Brennan, Dale Jr., and Kevin Harvick all in the booth. And when we saw it today, we thought it was an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, no, I thought it was an April Fool's joke when I saw it. And then I kept seeing it over and over. And the more people talked about it, I was like, oh, this is real. So I sent it to you and I was like, hey, I promise this is not an April Fool's joke. The Cars Tour is going to be on FS1. And this might be the best thing to happen to grassroots racing since the Speed Channel still existed. I mean, this is huge to see something like the Cars
Speed.
Tour. Yeah, I know, RIP Speed Channel, Speed Network. One of the best things ever. It was on 24/7 at my house the first half of my life, and I wish it still was on TV.
I believe that.
But no, this Cars Tour race is probably the biggest thing to happen to the Cars Tour, maybe since Josh Berry got his breakthrough ride with JRM. I mean, this is great for them. I'm so excited. It's going to be at North Wilkesboro. I'm actually going to be there, so I'm even more excited about that.
Bruh.
Maybe I can
Did you see NASCAR's post this week? Like, it's going to start out on Thursday with the Pro Late models from the Cars Tour. Then on Friday, it's NASCAR practice. I think the trucks are racing. Are they racing on Saturday? I don't know. The trucks are racing that weekend. They'll have the late model stocks on Friday at some point. There's the challenges with the pit stop stuff going on Saturday, qualifying, all that. Then on Sunday, obviously the heat races and all that with the All-Star race. Like, there is so much action that is going to be at North Wilkesboro that weekend. Really jealous that you're going to be there.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the NASCAR modifieds are also going to be there.
Yes,
so
that's one thing I was forgetting.
I mean, I have both divisions of the Cars Tour, 3 NASCAR divisions, plus All-Star Weekend festivities.
Jeez.
I mean, I'm just...
Well, I don't think the Xfinity Series will be there.
No, it's trucks. Three divisions, the modifieds, the trucks.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize you were counting the mods.
Hey, that's NASCAR.
You're technically correct.
NASCAR, but it's NASCAR. It's not even a technicality. It's 100% NASCAR.
Okay. Well, I forgot. Okay, you know what? Let's
the first
omit
word
that
in the
one.
series name is NASCAR.
Let's omit that one. And but yeah, everyone will be there that weekend, including you and yourself. And I'm really jealous of that because that is going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be awesome to get to hear Dale Jr. back in the booth for that. Kevin Harvick will be in there as well. Both owners of the Cars Tour, 2 of the 4 major series owners. And then obviously they'll have the lead play-by-play Eric Brennan in there. Love Eric Brennan. He's so good at what he does. You know, I've gotten to grow close with him over the past couple of months or so. I text him often for advice when it comes to broadcasting, but he is very good. He's done stuff with FS1 already. You know, he did the ARCA race at Phoenix, and so he is he's not shy from FS1.
I mean, I'm looking at that booth, and I'm almost excited just to listen to the 3 of them together as I am to watch the race.
That's what I'm saying. Like, a good booth makes a good portion of a show, and that is going to be a great booth.
I think this race is going to be... I can't wait to see the social media reaction of this race because the Cars Tour is the hidden gem in motorsports, and I think this is going to be huge for everybody involved, and I can't reiterate how excited I am. I know I'm just saying it over and over, but that's how I feel about this race and this whole weekend.
We'll have to get some content from you over the weekend when you're down there.
I'll be sure to get as much as possible, and starting on Thursday, I will be at the track most definitely.
Yeah. Well, and before we get on, we want to stick with the Cars Tour, but our good friend and host Timothy is out this week. He's fallen sickly. And so we were just talking to him, and he just does not feel very well. He's been having some problems over the past couple of days, so he is sadly not with us this evening, but he hopefully should be back to our next episode. He had his webcam. He was gonna make his first face appearance today, but he'll have to do that next episode around. I was so excited.
He's actually just camera shy, guys. That's the whole thing.
Well, he is, but he's actually sick. But he will be on camera. He will be on camera. But let's get into the race at Wake County this weekend, because I mean, when people say it's the bullring, it's the bullring. That place is short, and the action was.
I don't believe them.
Yeah, I mean, the action was there. There was action all over the racetrack, and let's start out with it. Minnie Tyrell goes out, takes the pole, and Minnie Tyrell, I mean, last year absolutely was on a hot streak, finishes third in the overall standings, but just could not quite pick up the win. Chase Burrow, our guest, who we'll have on tonight, we actually recorded his interview yesterday, so you're going to see me and Gavin in different shirts and all that and be like, what happened? It's because we recorded that yesterday when we had planned to meet with him, but he started 22nd. He had a wild day, but you'll get to hear all about that in the interview. Let's go on to the first incident. Laney Bice, Carson Hayslip, they get involved in a crash in a turn one, and a lot of people at first thought Bice might have started turning down, but honestly, I thought Hayslip was up the track, and he just didn't really turn into the corner. I guess he was trying to maybe arc it a little bit wider, but it really looked like he just started driving off straight into the corner, and Bice thought he was going to turn down. Then he jumps up over her left rear. That puts him in the air. They both spin, and he smashes the outside wall. Your thoughts?
I mean, that's what it looked like to me. Is it looked like she was giving him extra room. He got out, and he said, I remember him saying that he felt like he got pinched and didn't have any room at all. And I mean, he got out of the car and he was pretty heated from it, but it just didn't really feel like a malicious incident by either of them. It didn't feel like Laney did anything wrong from a racing standpoint. I mean, she goes in, there's a car on the inside, she gives him extra room. He might have been expecting there to be a little more room there than there was. I mean, it's a tight corner racetrack. So, I mean, every microsecond is just so important. So, I mean, if he maybe turned in a little bit late, I can see how you would get frustrated with that. So, I don't think it was anything overly egregious on either driver. I think it was just a racing incident. I just don't know why he was so mad when he got out of the car.
Well, it's because he's a younger driver, and Wake County is his home. Like, he is the hometown hero at Wake County. He's one of the hometown heroes. And so, I mean, his car got destroyed. That's going to need a whole new rear clip. The body of it is the chassis is probably fine, but it's going to need a whole new rear clip, probably a new front bumper as well. So that's going to be a lot of work for him and his team. But I imagine he would have gone back and watched and realized that, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was Laney Bice's fault, but I wouldn't say, he just did something stupid in terms of the racing incident itself. But I think he'll go back and look at that and realize, maybe she was coming down because she thought I was going to come down, but I wasn't yet. And so, but definitely in the moment, he gets out of the car, looks at his car. I mean, the rear end is destroyed, and so you're going to be upset with the person you're involved with. And so he got up in her face, and luckily she stayed in the car. But he obviously there was not going to be an altercation at all, but he definitely was not happy. And but I mean, I wouldn't be happy to see my car destroyed. But at the end of the day, hopefully he'll go back and look at that, and he probably already has, and say, all right, well, this is what I did, this is what she did, and this is kind of here how it worked out, and just kind of take it from a level-headed place and say, all right, where do I need to go from here? Because Hayslip, I think he'll be back and run some more cars through stuff, but I can understand his frustration, in front of the hometown crowd, a track that he knows the best, and taken out very early into the race.
And I mean, that kind of developed into a story over the whole race, is that the younger drivers were the ones having a lot of the issues.
Yeah. The only one that didn't of his own doing was McKee up until the end.
Exactly. And I mean, even though it wasn't his own doing, still a young driver. I think it just has to do with Wake County being such a tight cornered racetrack.
It is. It requires a lot of patience. Like, you have to know when you need to make your move.
Yeah, and it's just a skill set that patience is a skill, but it's not a skill you have or you don't. It's something you develop and learn.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I mean, look, Minnie Tyrell has been in the Cars Tour for years, and he led every lap, and Connor Hall was up there competing for the win towards the end. So, I mean, you look at the drivers that found their way at the front at the end of the race, and it's a track that, in my opinion, has to do a lot more with being smart, being patient, and composed than it does just going out and driving as hard and as fast as you can.
Yeah, we had a few moves. We had Tyrelli moving Doug Barnes out of the way. Doug Barnes recovered. I think he finished P3. So he did, Doug Barnes Jr., great driver. I think he's running with, who is it this year? Elite Podium Performance, right? He's the other car.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's done well in that car so far. I think he's had some great runs. He was up in the fight at New River All-American. He was in the fight most of the night at Wake County. So he's gotten off to a great start for himself. Sad news again. I was honestly sad from this. Like, I've never caught myself feeling this way, but I was sad for Connor Jones. I mean, he was having a great night running top 5 all night long, made smart moves, did his thing, and I think he had a right front tire go down that put him in the outside wall of turn 4, and that sadly ended his day. And I actually got upset because, again, we talked about it. Like, he has taken a new approach to his mentality behind the wheel, and I think things have just happened, not of his own fault, not of his own doing, not because he's getting run over or anything like that. Like, just things really out of his control, and it's really made me upset for him because, again, I love to see him say, all right, I'm going to make a change as a driver. A lot of people are complaining about this. Instead of just saying, I'm going to do my thing, like all this, like really just taking a look at yourself and saying, I need to make a change. And I hate that it hasn't boded results for him yet because I think it has made him better. Like, in every race that we've seen him in that something has gone wrong, he has been competing up towards the front, whether it be in ASA, Southern Super Series, here in the Cars Tour, or the Pro Late Models with the Cars Tour. He has been competing, and competing well. And so I really hope that he can find a way to get those results because, again, a lot of it has been because of mechanical problems or disqualifications and things like that. So I really got upset for him with under 10 laps to go after running top 5 all night.
Yeah, I mean, that sucks for Connor. I mean, he has been, like you have reiterated for the last 5 minutes, and he has turned, I'm going to go ahead and say, he's turning over a new leaf this year, and he's doing everything the right way, and it isn't working out for him. And when you see a driver that you know is fast, doing things the right way, and it isn't working out for you, you feel bad for him. And I don't know what he needs to do because he's not doing anything wrong. It's just, things are happening out of his control, and I don't know what to even tell him if you're his team owner or his crew chief. Like,
Keep
what
pushing.
do you tell a kid that, yeah, I mean,
he's got talent. Like, you don't race in the Cars Tour, ASA, in the trucks, in ARCA without having some degree of talent. Like, we've talked about it before. Yes, some people can get certain places because of money, but that bows out. Like, you will see a driver that is just there because of money and just there because of talent and maybe a mix of both. But, like, with Connor Jones doing so much racing, you can tell that he has talent. Whether to that degree, who knows what it is, whether how far that will go. But he does. And so I just think he's making smarter moves this year, and I really would like to see that turn into some fruition for him, just because I like a driver that takes that mentality of hey, I'm gonna turn over a new leaf, or hey, I'm gonna make some changes and try to do the best I can to be a respectful racer and just go out there and race. Not do all the stuff that he used to do, and I really admire that. I really do.
Yeah, we've seen a whole lot of growth out of Connor Jones this year, but another moment, talking about the young drivers who had just things go bad for them, out of their control. Tristan McKee running in the top 4. I think he was running in second, gets taken out on a late restart by Holden Haddock, who was a Wake County local, who was running 4th. And on a restart, Haddock just got into the back of McKee. I don't think it was anything malicious, but late race restart, everybody is pushing for every spot on the track, and they get into each other and end up ending each other's nights. And man, that's another one that hurts, and it made me feel bad. Is Tristan McKee getting taken out, because talk about a kid who's super young with a lot of talent.
Yeah, I feel like he's been in a similar position in terms of Jones this year, and just that he's been running pretty well, pretty decent himself, but it just seems that things keep happening that are out of his control as well, and that is very difficult as a young driver. But I think again, McKee's one of those guys that has a lot of backing, and he's going to be able to hop back in his seat and get back out there. And I think repetition and things like that, like just being able to get seat time and you continue to learn and develop as a young driver, you will be able to, not that it was McKee's fault, but, maybe find a way that you're not in a position like that, or who knows what, Again, the thing was not his fault at all, but still in other instances that happen this season, finding yourself to be out of those positions, because I think here in this race at Wake County, there's almost nothing you could have done. Even the most experienced driver couldn't have done anything in that, just getting run over. But it does suck for Holden Haddock because he was having a great night. He was doing well for himself. He was putting on good battles, and he makes a simple mistake, and it ends both their nights. So one of the last big incidents we had was Ryan Huffman. What is it? Landon Huffman turning Ryan Millington. And I say turning Ryan Millington, and I think it was definitely different. Whoa, oh my gosh, I'm combining both of their names. Landon Huffman had been having one of the best nights he has had in the past year in the Cars Tour. We saw him about a year ago from now. He was running with Nelson Motorsport in their number 22, and he was putting up some great finishes. He was doing well in that 22 car. Then they brought in Connor Hall, and Huffman had really nowhere to go. He got picked up by Carroll Speed Shop. I think that's his team, and he runs with them. And he hasn't been doing amazing since he got with them. I think they've been really trying to figure out their stuff, because I think Huffman is a decent driver. He runs at Hickory and he does well there. He's run with the Cars Tour for the past couple of years and he's done pretty decent. But I think his team is really starting to find their stride because, obviously Wake County, one of his home tracks, so he knows it very well. But he ran P2 all night. Almost for 115 laps, he ran P2. He battled with Connor Jones. Jones was able to pass him, but still, he ran excellent all night long. Then Millington gets up outside of him on, I think when a caution came out, they restart. Millington into 3, tries to clear himself, pushes down the track on the entry to 3, but Huffman was still there, and so he didn't back out of it. With 10 to go, I wouldn't. And so Millington gets spun because he cuts down onto the nose of Huffman. Because of that, Huffman gets an EOL, and instead of finishing second or third, he finishes 12th. And I really hate that because he had deserved a podium finish that night, and I hate it because Millington ruined his day. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, Huffman got into him, or he should have backed out," and things like that. It's under 10 laps to go of a 125 lap race. He's been running second all night. You can't back out. Like Millington's just going to turn down the nose. Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with Landon Huffman holding his ground on Ryan Millington there. I mean, as me and you have had conversations on our own, Ryan Millington has developed, I would say, a negative reputation in the Cars Tour to a degree. Yeah. Not as a talent level, but just as some of the moves he makes aren't looked on positively, I guess.
Right.
And so when something like that happens, you're going to give Huffman, me and you both are going to give Huffman kind of the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
So, well, of course he's not going to back down. I mean, but at the same time, you can't back down, but you have to expect a driver with the reputation of, hey, he's probably going to clear himself here.
Right.
To be ready for everything that he's going to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to put blame on either driver here. It's 10 to go. I mean, you fight for everything. You fight for at the end. I'm not going to say either of them are in the right or the wrong, but I mean, you have to be ready and you have to be aware for what every driver is going to do in a late situation like that. Because I saw the two of them battling that late in the race, I was like, this might get hairy.
Yeah, I think so too, and I hate that for him. And our last thing, really, well, I say our last thing, we got a little bit, but Mini Tyrell ends up winning after that, and he led from flag to flag. And what a night for him. He is a 4-year winless streak in the Cars Tour, one of the longest, and he finally gets back to victory lane. I think he definitely deserved a win last year, and he's finally able to pick one up early on this year. I think Mini Tyrell, a lot of people overlook him a lot. I think he's someone that could contend for the championship this year. We have the big mix-up that you and I talked about with, Carson Quapple and all those other guys graduating, going up to ARCA, to the Xfinity Series, trucks all over the board, that it's really left the who's who of the Cars Tour to be who's going to be next. And we've got Connor Hall, obviously, with Junior Motorsports, and Mini Tyrell with his team. I think he's going to be one of those guys that people will overlook, but that I think could absolutely fight for the 2025 championship.
Well, I mean, you did say he finished third in the standings last year, and who were the drivers that finished first and second?
Right, Quapple and Brendan Queen.
And where are they at now?
ARCA and Xfinity, yeah.
On the card. So, I mean, even though he hasn't won in 4 years until this weekend, you might have to look at him as the favorite.
Well, absolutely.
With JRM. I mean,
well,
you have the guy who,
I don't know. Connor Hall is doing good as well. He's got a win and a P2 finish, so I can't overlook him at all. I would say Mini Tyrell is probably an underdog favorite.
I just don't know how I feel about calling him the underdog when he finished P3 last year. I know he is on his own team.
Because I think people still overlook him, which is stupid.
Yeah, no, I don't know how you are going to overlook a guy with that much consistency. No, I'm agreeing with you there, but I'm just really excited for this entire rest of the Cars Tour season. I mean, it is, like I've already said twice already today, it's the hidden gem of motorsports.
Yeah. It's why it's our main series. It's our favorite thing that we're the most excited to get back to when they started up.
I know. So I'm ready to watch this championship battle develop and see if anybody else gets up there and competes with the two of them, because you have an entire field of drivers left that are all in great equipment. I mean, look at Doug Barnes, look at Tristan McKee. I mean, I know they're a Cars Tour first full-time season. I don't really know if I would call Doug Barnes a rookie as much as he's ran with the series, but and then Tristan McKee, who's 14 years old, but I mean, they're both in great cars and they're both great drivers.
Yeah. Well, and we're definitely probably overlooking some other names too.
Oh yeah, I'm exactly. That's a great series.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, Mini Tyrell winning that race is got to be one of the bigger wins in his career. I mean, I'm sure he's won bigger races, but it's been 4 years.
I was going to say, if this, I don't know what is better momentum for him. Another thing I loved is that I saw it on Flow. It was a clip on Flow of his post-race interview in Victory Lane, and I really loved it and how much that he was giving thanks to the Lord. Obviously racing is one of the more openly it's like a lot of people are Christian in the sport of racing. A lot of people it started from the South. It's a lot bigger in racing than it is in a lot of other sports. It's more accepted in terms of the media and things like that. But I really loved how he just gave it back to Christ, because yes, people say that like a lot, and I think everyone that says it is most likely genuine, but I could tell by how he and his team talked about it, even in the interview, that of how genuine they were as believers. And I think, in all that we do, and you and I do in the podcast, guys racing, us in our career aspirations, doing it all for the glory of Christ. And I thought that was really cool of him, just being able to give Christ even just a moment of time and saying, none of this is possible without him. Like, I just thought that was really cool.
No, I mean, that it was a great thing to see. And another thing, it kind of reminds me of that, is when Brent Cruz won his ARCA race back in Phoenix. I remember him getting out of the car and he started praying, and the interviewer, I can't remember who was interviewing him, walked up to him, saw he was interviewing him, and gave him the time to step back and let him pray before he interviewed him. And I just remember that moment. That stuck with me.
Yeah, it's just stuff like that is really cool. And I think I don't think I saw this, but you did, because you've got it in the notes. But Bassett and Lewis had contact after the checkered.
It was major. It wasn't major contact, but they definitely did get into each other after the checkered flag, just rubbing a little bit. I think there was some displeasure, but I never saw anything get mentioned from it, and I didn't see anything on social media. So I think it was just short track tempers, and they got into each other and moved on and got over it.
Yeah, yeah, and they'll move on to the next race at Cordell. And our guest Chase Burrow is going to talk a little bit about Cordell, but that will be up next. So we're going to send it quickly to our interview with him, and we'll get right back up to you with everything we've got going on in dirt and NASCAR.
All right, and speaking of this Cars Tour race this weekend, which is absolutely an insane race, we actually have our guest for this week, and our first guest in about a month. We have Chase Burrow, who, you finished 16th in the race this weekend. Give us a quick introduction about yourself, and we'll kind of segue that into talking about the race this weekend.
Yeah, of course. Just growing up, just racing. I started when I was about 9 years old. Um, Kind of a family deal. Me and my dad, we actually build race cars for age race cars. So all the late models and stuff that you see me driving, they're built by us. But just been in like racing for a while, and just trying to make it a career out of it.
I got you. And you started racing when you were 9. How many years have you been racing now, and how is that taking up, most of your life, and how's that going now?
Yeah, I've been racing for about 11 years now, and that's just about all I do. If I'm not racing, I'm usually riding around on a boat or just, just being on the water, something like that. But, majority of the time it is racing. So it kind of evolves my life, and that's all I really do.
I
Chase,
got you.
you were mentioning it to me that this is what you and your dad do. Y'all get to build race cars. Like, how has that like affected you and your dad's relationship? Like over the years, like that's something y'all bonded over.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's it's awesome to be able to work with your dad and to do a hobby like for a job. It like is awesome. You know what I'm saying? It's a dream come true for sure. And to be able to do it week in and week out, and to go compete in the tour with some stuff that we've built from scratch. And everybody can say that. So to be able to do that is awesome. And I think it makes our relationship like stronger. Like there's some times where it's not, um, but in the end, it always comes back to be stronger. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and going off that, like you just said, it always comes back stronger. Do you have kind of any funny, lighthearted stories about you and your dad's relationship, let's just say, developing while you race?
and I feel like we've got such a good relationship that there's not really a story or anything that can explain it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really just we go to work every day. We get to do something we love, and we get to go to the racetrack and compete with the stuff we build. And um, I mean, it's a whole family thing too. I mean, my brother does tires like for me. He's my tire guy, so he's in on it. My mom, she's got to put up with us all the time, being out of town and stuff like that. So she's a huge part of it. So I mean, it's not just me and my dad. It's a whole family, and just to be able to do it and it all like work out is great.
Yeah, and one question I'm going to kind of bounce off of that is back to Saturday. I noticed that you were in and out of the garage a little bit during the race, and that I heard there was some transmission issues or radiator issues with the car, actually. And what is that like as one of the smaller, like a family operated team? What is that like managing your equipment throughout the whole year of being on something as high level as the Cars Tour, and what goes into the week to week of maintaining your equipment?
Man, it's tough. Especially in the tour. There's a lot of money surrounding the tour, and to be a smaller team, it's tough to compete with that for sure. And um, so I have a great opportunity through
Mhm.
Adam Medic. He pays for all the racing, and if it wasn't for him, then I wouldn't be able to do it. But we're teamed up with Sellers. and so they take care of the Cars Tour car like week in and week out. But um, but yeah, if it wasn't for those guys, we wouldn't be able to do it. Like I said, a huge shout out to Adam Medic for making it all go down, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be doing it. So
You mentioned
Yeah.
that money. Go ahead, Gavin.
No, you go ahead.
Well, you mentioned that money aspect. Like, I mean, just tell me more about what those things are that you face, those challenges that y'all do as a smaller team, as a family team running the Cars Tour, and what made you want to run the tour?
I guess the biggest thing, the want behind it, is just the fact that we build the cars, and it's a local deal, so we're trying to get some cars that aren't from around like here to run our stuff. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to go to the tour, to run good, and to try to sell cars is the
Yeah,
main aspect. And just the money deal. I mean, it's so tough to run the tour. It's so hard. Like, everybody's so close. It's a hard deal. So to be able to go run with those guys, I think the biggest thing would be is like when we're gone to go test or go race or anything, the shop is closed. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just me and
yeah.
Dad. So
Do y'all
the
ever think
business
about
is
expanding?
closed. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the goal is to, of course, but um, it's a tough deal because you gotta like sell the cars to expand, but you
Yeah.
gotta, what I'm saying, you gotta be fast to sell cars. It's a, I don't know, it's a weird deal
No, I
to
get where
try
you're
to make
coming
it all
from.
work. But the goal is, of course, to make it all work and expand and sell cars and get big and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah, and one more question I have is kind of bouncing off of that is how was the you know what, Scott, I'm gonna let you ask the next question because I'm losing my train of thought right now.
He's losing his
I'm
train of
so
thought.
sorry.
Oh,
I'm
well,
so sorry, guys.
Gavin will do this. He'll just boom crash,
Dude, I'm
and
the most ADHD guy ever. I'm sorry. And
well,
I just drove straight into a brick wall over here, I guess.
Well, I know we wanted to talk about you. You obviously had some troubles at the race this weekend at Wake County. Kind of run us through those issues and how y'all recovered, because you still finished 16th, of 27 cars that started the race. And with the amount of times that we got to see you on pit road assessing those issues, that's an extremely impressive feat.
Yeah, we had some major problems going on. We had with the radiator that wasn't flowing right, or something was going on. The motor was running hot, so um, I couldn't race. I had to stay 2 to 3 cars back to get some clean air on the nose to keep the motor cool. And I guess the only saving grace was all the cautions. We could come down and cool the motor off, and then go back out for the next 5 to 10 laps. It was a lot going on that made it work. Um, but we knew if we could come down to get it cool, to get back out, that we would be fine if we stayed out of the wrecks. Wake is really small, and
Yeah.
if a lot of cars get torn up, we knew if we could stay out of that we'd be fine. So that was our
So,
game plan, and it kind of started early,
mhm.
like lap 3 to 4. It started getting hot, so we
Oh.
had the game plan kind of early because it started early. So
Yeah.
um,
Well, you mentioned you're able to come onto the pit road, so many of those cautions, and you come into pit road, you have to go to the back of the lead lap, and so I know even when I think about driving, I don't like to play the what ifs, but have you thought about with all those issues and you eventually finishing P16, do you think about if y'all can have a race where you don't incur those issues, that you could finish maybe top 10, something like that? Is that something that goes through your mind?
yeah, a lot. The other night, we had a really good car. The speed didn't show it, but we had a good race car. Um, and it sucked to not be able to race to try to keep the motor cool all night. But um, there was a few times where I was able to drive hard, and I think we had a really good car. So I mean, you kind of think about that all the time, and um, I think for sure if we can shake the bad luck, and um, I think we have a good race car for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing is what all goes into setting goals as kind of a smaller team in the Cars Tour when you're setting down at the start of the season and really assessing where you're at as an organization.
Yeah, last year we ran with the Sellers guys, and the goal was just to compete and run top 10, top 5. And
Mhm.
we first race out we run fourth, so of course the expectations were raised at that point. If we can run top 5, then we can compete for wins, and we did about all year. We ran top 10 all year, and we had some good nights. And um, so this year was the same deal. It was just top 10s, top 5s, and wins. So it didn't start off to the best foot, but I think it's just gonna help our team grow and get better. And I think like when it all starts to click, that it'll be a good deal. So
How
just gotta.
do how do you and the team, you just mentioned it about, this is not the likely start that y'all wanted. How do you as a driver and then you as your team as well, how do y'all recover from that, look forward and say, all right, we're here, but this is where we can go, this is where we know we can go? How do you as a driver and the team get to that mindset? What do you do?
I think the biggest thing is just trust. I know what they can do. They know what I can do, and just to be able to trust the guys to give me a good car, and for them to trust me to drive it hard and be fast. I think is the biggest thing, and that's all still there. The trust, the teamwork, and all that still it's still there. It's just some bumps in the road that we got to get through, and when we get through them, I think we can be lights out. So um, it's just a curveball um, like that we got to get past, but I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I look. It's been a lot, and Gavin, you got anything else? Because I do want to ask about Core Deal in the upcoming race. Gavin, you got anything before that?
I don't think I have anything before Cordell, and I'm really excited to hear about that because that's a track we've actually gotten to talk about on here before.
Yeah,
So
we
me and
talked about a
Scott
lot of
kind
it in
of,
ASA.
yeah, me and Scott kind of have a little bit of experience with Cordell, so we're is just as excited as you are for this upcoming Cars Tour race here in just a few weeks.
Yeah, I've never seen Core Deal, never been to it or anything like that. So
Might set him up with
I've
Timothy. Our good, our
I've
good, our good other buddy Timothy. He races Core Deal a lot.
Yeah, so if you need any information about Cordell, just
I'm
we can
I'm gonna
get
need
you some, I guess.
yeah, I'm gonna need all the help I can get because, like I said, I haven't seen it. Like, I'm from Virginia. I've never been down there to see the race.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen
Mhm.
some races on um Flow and all of some pros and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but it's one of those tracks that I've never seen or anything. So definitely gonna need some info on it for sure before we go. So
And
um,
that's kind of bringing me up a question is with a track like Cordell, it's not on iRacing, so it's not really a track you can even get any practice laps on a simulator. So, what is your preparation gonna look like for the next race?
I the biggest thing is just some footage. I'll try to find some races and try to study the way the races play out there.
Mhm.
That a big tire saving track or they run pretty hard there, what grooves come in, stuff like that. And then, I'll talk to some guys that have gone there before and just try to find a track close to it, I guess, for iRacing to just go practice that. Because I do have a sim and all, so I do have that I can use. You just got to find a track that's kind of close just to get some laps in, and but that's probably just my game plan. Is just to find some footage, do some sim stuff, and then I think we're gonna go down the week of the race and go practice. So
I think Timothy will, definitely has. I think he's mentioned to us before of like literally what track is like most like it in the sim. So I will definitely get you that info and things just to help you out. We look forward, obviously, what are your goals for the year? You know, we mentioned, obviously, top 10, top 5. Like, where is that one of those things? Like, what are you thinking about stack up with season points? All of that.
yeah, so we were gonna run for points for sure. And then the New River deal where we missed the race kind of screwed that up. But the plans are still the same, like run the full year to run for wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the points race. But if you win, like the points will come. So I think that's just the goal is just to compete for wins on the Cars Tour, and then the local stuff that I have like here at home. Um, go compete for wins at Langley and like stuff like that. So, um, just compete for wins. Like that's all it is. Just be competitive wherever you go and um, sell race cars, of course.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you said that you hate points racing and you just want to go out and win. Like that makes me so
I love
happy
that
that you
opinion.
said
I really
that.
do.
Like, that's going to be the highlight of this episode for me is just saying that you hate points racing because you know what pays the most points? A win.
Yeah.
Right. It's so painful to try to navigate points, and you get points for poles, you get points for passing, you get points for this, you get points for that. But if you just go out there and win, you get the most points, right? So that should be your goal is just to win every week. And if you can do that, then you ought to not have to worry about points. So that's the way I look at it. But
You mentioned racing at home, and home to you is Langley. What's it been like to race at a speedway such as Langley? Because that's one of, again, all of my experiences through the sim, but Langley is one of my favorite short tracks all across the country. I think it provides some of the best racing. What has it been like to race there for you, and how has that helped you develop over your time in racing?
yeah, I mean, I grew up in Langley, so I love Langley. And to be able to go race against your Greg Edwards, your Connor Halls, your Danny Edwards, like all these guys they've done it. Like they've been there,
Mm-hmm.
like in racing. I mean, they've done just about everything you can do. I mean, Connor Hall is the one the nation a couple of years. He's driving for junior, and we talk all the time. Like we're pretty close. Like I say, we race at Langley against each other. To be able to go race at a place like Langley, um, it's so tough for just some other guys to come to run there, like for one-off like deals and stuff like that. Like it's such a hard racetrack to get a hold of,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to know that you can show up and go run there, is great. And, it helps with about anywhere you go because it's a lot of throttle control, it's a lot of car control, it's a lot of just your car to be able to drive your car around Langley. It teaches you a lot about driving, about tire wear and stuff like that. So I think that's just the biggest thing that Langley has helped with is being able to adapt to about anything because that racetrack changes like no tomorrow. Um, and um, yeah, just to be able to adapt is huge, especially in the car store because um, you go to all these tracks that are way different. Like you go to Wake tomorrow, and then like the next week you go to Cordell. Like they're not even similar. So to be able to do that is
Right.
pretty huge.
You mentioned that you and Connor Hall raced together at Langley. Like, Has he ever been, you know, and you mentioned that you talked to him, does he ever give you advice, things like that, or when in the Cars Tour, he ever been a mentor style? How has that relationship worked between y'all?
Yeah. Honestly, it's it's a good relationship. There's been times where I've needed stuff, and he's been there to help. And there's been times the roles reversed. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, just good buddies. We race at Langley, like I said. We race Cars Tour. We race hard against each other. Um, and I mean that's pretty much it. Just good friends. You
That's
know, if he
good.
needs anything, I'm there for him. If I need anything, he's usually there for me. Just a good guy in the pitch to know.
There we go. Last question from me, at least. What are your long-term plans? Do you, want to stay in the cars? What does it look like for you in the world of racing? Do you want to stay with the Cars Tour? Do you want to go up? Do you want to ever try to race trucks or ARC or anything like that? What is your overall goal in terms of your racing career?
Yeah, of course. You know, like I guess the way I look at it is I want to compete wherever the most talent is. I guess you could say, you know, if it's the Cars Tour, great. If it's Truck Series, great. Or if it's the local, just NASCAR, like late models, great. You know, I want to go wherever it's tough to race at,
Mm-hmm.
and, and compete for wins. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And if that means that I need to stay in the seat to do it, great. If that means that I need to step aside and focus on selling cars and building cars, it is what it is. But that's just the biggest thing, just to compete like wherever there's the most talent at.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, look, I'm really excited to see me and Gavin both the rest of this year for you. We're definitely gonna keep updated and all that. Well, we might be able to hopefully maybe this year have you on later as the Cars Tour progresses and things like that. But it's so cool to get to talk to guys like you who are just making their way and I love it as well, mostly, especially guys from family-owned teams, because our good buddy and co-host Timothy, he also is from a family-owned team. So he's really, for many years, gotten to talk to me about some of those struggles and to see what you and your dad and you guys can do with just the few of y'all and your family and the whole deal is just so cool.
yeah. I mean, it's a wild ride for sure. But I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world, honestly, to be able to do the things we do with
Hmm.
our family and friends and team, and it's just a good time all the time. So, like I said, I'm very very lucky to have a medic corp, on my side, and to be able to build the cars from scratch. I mean, that's a big plus.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Well, big thanks from Chase Burrow. We're so glad to have you on. We know we'll hopefully be talking to you again in the future. Good luck at Cordell, and we'll see you later.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again so much, Chase. And one more time, I'm going to thank Chase Burrow for coming on the B Main. That was a great interview last night. We got to talk a lot about working with smaller teams, how his family dynamic is working on the team, working for Sellers Racing, and it was really interesting to me. He said he's never been to Cordell. It's not on the sim.
Yep.
And how's he like? What do you think about that? I mean, how would you feel going to a track you've never been to, and it's a track that isn't on the sim? Like,
Well, I
how would
like
you
what he
feel he
said.
feels
I
right now?
like what he said, about watching some film, probably finding some in-car. Any person in the racing world, even you and I, have contacts. And so he probably knows some people, from ASA, maybe something like that have driven at Cordell, and we'll ask them about the track, what it most likely drives like, and you can really get an idea. But they will really come at it with hit the ground running in practice and just really try to figure out that track as best as you can, use all the practice time you can. But I like what he said about the prep, finding what track in iRacing might be the closest to it. I'm trying to think of what that would be. I don't think Stafford, Cordell's a little more flat. I wouldn't say flatter, You know, obviously
Maybe Thompson?
it has progressive banking, but you're going to run the middle to lower line, which is a good bit flatter. Um, maybe
Maybe Thompson?
Thompson's a little bit too paper clipped. You know, if you were to
Yeah.
cut the straightaways on Thompson, maybe, but the corners are too short. I can't. I'm
South Boston?
trying to think through my head. What'd you say?
South Boston, maybe?
Yeah, honestly, if you shorten South Boston, that I would the short straightaways of South Boston, I would say that might be a close one.
They'll
With
have
how you
Baby
could
Rich.
baby yeah, if you shrunk Richmond, I would say kind of a combination of those. I would say South Boston might be one of the closest if you shorten it straightaways just a little bit and made it a little bit more egg like. Because South Boston a little more flatter, but so I liked his approach of just getting some film, finding a track on iRacing, and I imagine they're going to use all the practice they can for that. But it's going to be really cool to get them go out there and watch. He mentioned what they wanted to do for this season, how they did last season with fighting in the top 10, and they want to make sure to get back to that, and they want to recover from a not so great of a start. So.
Yeah, and speaking of tracks that these drivers have never been to, we're going to swing over to the dirt world. In the high limit West Coast swing, they started out the Tulare Thunder Bowl, where Brad Sweet won, and it was a pretty straightforward race. There were some big wrecks early on, and that race was fine. It was a good race. Brad Sweet, like I just said, won. Then they went down to Bakersfield at Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway, which is a wordy name because Bakersfield Speedway is under renovation. So they went to Kern County's dirt track, and now the full name for it is Bakersfield Speedway at Kevin Harvick's Kern County Raceway.
Wait, the Kern that is on iRacing, the dirt part.
Yes, the dirt.
Wait,
Yes.
they race there?
Yes. So Bakersfield.
I've been out, guys. I school is heavy on Scott.
There are two dirt tracks in Bakersfield, California. There's Bakersfield Speedway, which is a quarter mile, and then Kern County, which is a 3/8. And Bakersfield is under renovation. So, like I said, the full name of the speedway just for this year, Bakersfield Speedway at Kevin Harvick's Kern County Raceway.
It's actually crazy. Why not?
Oh,
it's Kern. Like why? I don't.
Yeah,
okay. Are they like getting? I don't know. That's so weird.
Yeah, all of the Bakersfield national events are going to be at Kern. So Bakersfield and Kevin Harvick have come up with some financial agreement that I don't know all the details to.
Okay.
For the naming rights just for this season for the national events and for Bakersfield Speedway's home track series.
That's
so each track
funny.
is it's a cluster.
That's so funny.
Yeah, there was chaos on the opening lap at Bakersfield, and Dason Pursley was involved. I think he was involved in a wreck every night of this West Coast swing to kick off their season. So, I mean, he went from me saying he's going to run away with Rookie of the Year, which my bad takes are continuing, to now he's lucky to get out alive. So, I don't know who I'm going to curse next by saying I think they're going to have a good year. So,
well, where was it? You might want to.
I need to get out of the business of predicting things.
It's not your strong suit. One thing that I did see this week was, I don't know which win of it was for Brad Sweet, but Casey Kane finished right behind him, and Casey Kane has really found his form again in the sprint cars. I don't remember what interview I saw, but I think he was saying that he's been struggling a little bit. When I got to see the World of Outlaws at Magnolia, I mean, Casey, he barely made the show. And he really didn't make an impression in the World of Outlaws race at all there. And I was really surprised because I know that he's raced sprint cars for quite a while. But I think he said he's finding it again.
Yeah, Casey Kane just spent so much time away from sprint car racing during his NASCAR career that when he went back, the sport,
had evolved.
20 years away from any racing series, it's not even the same thing. It's not the same animal. So he comes back to the sprint car world, and he has struggled for the last 3 or 4 years now, really, since he left Hendrick Motorsports. And he hasn't got that national series win yet. And everybody thought he had that one at Central Arizona 1, including myself. And then, lo and behold, Brad Sweet does Brad Sweet things.
And Brad Sweet drives for him.
hey, you got a job to do,
No,
and he went
no,
out
I
and did
know.
his
I was
job.
gonna say like you got to take the win. Like you're not gonna give it to him, and Casey Kane wouldn't want a win given to him, and you know that Brad Sweet didn't try his hardest. But I just thought that was interesting. It's like I remember Sweet's interview was like, you know, of course it was my team owner that I was taking the lead from, and so, but
But no, this was a great den of races, but Jason personally didn't even finish an A main until the 2 nights at Central Arizona, where he ran pretty well, I remember, but it just feels off for him trying to get his feet under him during his rookie campaign with the National Wing Sprint Car Series. So I'm interested to see how he does now that they're back in the Midwest and the East Coast. Now, they were supposed to race the other night at Vado, New Mexico, or here in a few nights at Vado, New Mexico, but it got canceled due to high wind threats, wind gusts over 50 miles an hour. They went ahead and canceled the show days in advance and said, you know what, the weather's not going to cooperate. We're going to go ahead, we're going to get our teams and drivers back home with their family for a few days before our breakneck pace of a season continues. And I kind of applaud them for that, going ahead and letting their drivers who want to race a few races this weekend get a plan, and letting the drivers who want to go home and take a short break get a break that they need.
yeah, no, I like that. I love calls being made and early and being able to get people the news as early as possible.
And speaking of that, there is rain in the forecast for the World of Outlaw race this weekend at Arrowhead Speedway. I'm planning on going, but I'm just waiting for it to get rained out because I mean it's supposed to rain like 6 inches
Hey, look,
around.
the race I went to was supposed to get rained out.
It's not just rain. It is
Monsoon.
4 days of it's 4 days of extreme threat of severe weather across Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri right now.
Oh.
So it's gonna rain. It's gonna rain.
It's gonna rain. Well,
exactly.
Well, I hope it might take a break for
the
you.
clip of the weatherman from Family Guy. It's raining sideways.
It's raining sideways.
But yeah, no. So World of Outlaws are supposed to go to Arrowhead this weekend. They've been kind of on a almost West Coast swing. They've been in Texas and Oklahoma for the past 2 weeks, at Cotton Bowl for 2 nights, and then in Lawton, Oklahoma, where David Gravel and Buddy Kofoid ended up winning all 4 of those races. So,
dude, I just keep seeing Gravel's name everywhere.
He is the man right now.
He is
in the World of Outlaws, but my championship pick, Buddy Kofoid, finally starting to pick up.
How's my boy doing? What was it?
Logan Schuhart. Logan Schuhart's doing good. He's doing
I thought
good.
So.
He's one of the top 3 or 4 drivers right now, and he's just
the fact that I don't even know.
Look, like you said, you're slammed with school.
Dude,
I don't.
I'm filming a documentary this week. My girlfriend's birthday is tomorrow.
Right?
No, that was my
okay.
that was one on Timothy. I'm doing one on powerlifting right now because my buddies do powerlifting, and I know it's crazy. And then next week I've got my opportunity that I still haven't gotten to tell y'all about because it's still not officially public. Hopefully it'll be public soon, but by the next episode I will have done it. So we'll be talking about it next episode for sure.
Well, now I know what to be looking for.
Yep, that's going to you better be watching.
I'll be watching.
Viewers, you'll understand in 2 weeks.
You'll understand in 2 weeks. I will put out a little press release the day of the race if it doesn't get officially announced.
Yes, please.
Of when and where and what is actually going on, where we can tell you. But,
enough about me.
Yeah, enough about Scott. Let's get back to the World of Outlaws. So David Gravel is just running away with the championship over there.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anybody on that series that has anything for him from what little bit you've gotten to watch? Or is this going to be another runaway championship for him?
I don't know. I mean, he is on a heater right now. I think just with the past 2 weeks of not being able to watch enough, I don't know. I know that Kofoid has been doing well. Who else was I watching that has been doing well? Oh my gosh!
Fast. He's been up front a lot.
Let me look at you. You talk about something else because I need to look at this real quick.
All right. Well, while he's looking up that, we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna catch you guys up on the Lucas Oil Super Late Model series. Ricky Thornton Jr. won at Atomic after Jonathan Davenport spun on lap 10. Tyler Erb also spun. There was multi-groove racing all night at Atomic. It was a great race, and Ricky Thornton Jr. just continues to be the class of the field. They went to Brownstown, Indiana after that for the Indiana Icebreaker, where Hudson O'Neal finally showed some speed, where Jonathan Davenport, Hudson O'Neal, Mike Marlar, and RTJ all were battling for second through fifth. It was such a crazy race, while Devin Moran just ran away from the rest of them. And Hudson O'Neal racing up for second with those guys gave me a little bit of faith in him, especially after getting his new crew chief, where he's just showing speed. The confidence, I think, is starting to come back. And I think this was the breakthrough that team needed this year. And Devin Moran ended up winning that race. So Moran and RTJ running away with the championship. But Hudson O'Neal and Jonathan Davenport finally showing some speed. Scott, did you get to watch any of that? And what do you think about Hudson O'Neal finally showing some speed now that he's matched up with the new crew chief?
I'm glad that they're finally finding something because, I mean, you talked about how, I mean, Hudson O'Neal is a great talent, but just ever since this switch with his crew chief and everything that was going on with them beforehand, you know, the first few races of the season, well, first few tracks really, I mean, he was nowhere on the map. And so I'm glad to hear that he's actually finding some stuff around. I think Brandon Overton has been having a little bit more good luck as well. I think that's my boy, but yeah, that's the thing, viewers. I've been sad that I haven't been able to get to watch our dirt stuff because I've actually really enjoyed getting into High Limit, World of Outlaws, and Lucas Oil because I love dirt late models. They're so cool.
Now, dirt late models are. I keep calling the Cars Tour the hidden gem of racing. Man, dirt super late models are so fun. And now that these dirt series, the sprint cars, have gotten on some tight corner bull rings,
dude,
you gotta get to watch.
I know.
Them when they're
hey, after April, I'm gonna be viewers. I'll be so free this summer with some things. Don't even worry. I just went and looked up the points for World of Outlaws and looked at some finishes and things like that. Obviously, my boy Schuhart doing pretty darn well, and Kofoid was one of those guys. You know, we obviously mentioned him. Donnie Schatz has been doing pretty good as well. A lot of people would expect him to be doing a little bit better, but I think he's not sitting too bad currently in sixth. But if we're talking about guys to challenge Gravel, I think Kofoid and Schuhart are two of the top players. I think Sheldon Hodson-Child is one of those. Excuse me, Hodson-Child is one of those that could also fight with him. I'd say those three as well. I don't really know about Macedo. You know, he's good, and he obviously he finished P2 in the race I was at Magnolia. But I don't know why. I feel like something's gonna. I don't know. The top five all look good, but I don't know what I'm feeling about Macedo for some reason. Also, my boy Hunter Schurenberg sitting down there 11th in points, so he's looking pretty darn good. I really got to find a way to reach out to him because I do want to have him on for us.
Well, like I said, I'm going to be at one of the next two World Outlaw shows, so if you don't get a hold of him, I will.
Hey, I'm down with that. Look, you got more connections than I do.
If you don't get a hold of him, I'll just go up to him.
You should go up to David Gravel then, because I can get a hold of Hunter Schurenberg. We can't get a hold of David Gravel. You should go to one of them.
No kidding. I'm
serious.
I'm going to try to get content recorded with Emerson Axum, who's a part-time driver with all the national series. He's
the highest part-time driver right now.
Yeah, I mean, he is doing great. I don't know if he's missed an Outlaw show yet.
He missed two.
Yeah, he's missed two shows, but he's supposed to be at Arrowhead this weekend. I did talk to him on an Instagram message. So as long as that race happens, I will interview him there for my personal YouTube channel, but I will upload it also on the B-Mains YouTube channel and talk to him as much as I can about getting him on the show, as well as trying to make as many other contacts as I can at this World Outlaw show. And if I end up going to one at I-55 and he isn't there the next weekend because of weather, I will get some content with somebody. I promise I will not come back empty-handed.
Well, I think that you got anything else?
And the World of Outlaw side of the super late models, it is still the Bobby Pierce show. Outside of Ryan Gustin getting one win on night 2 at Swainsboro, but other than that, it has been the Bobby Pierce show.
Who's surprised?
And Exactly. Who was surprised? Nobody.
Well,
But
that
yeah,
is.
we're gonna get keep moving on. I'm
I know.
ready for
Wait,
my favorite. This is my
dude,
favorite part of the
dude,
show.
this is our favorite part of the week. Bonehead and badass move. Let's go ahead and start with Bonehead. I'll kick it off. Mine's Ryan Millington clearing himself off of Huffman's bumper and putting Huffman in an EOL position. Again, you heard my thoughts about it, but I think that's my move.
Originally I was gonna try to avoid doing this because it has been the bonehead move everyone has been talking about, but you got to talk about Sammy Smith. Absolutely,
And we're about to get into it.
absolutely,
Oh,
just cleaning everybody out on the last lap there, especially Taylor Gray.
yeah.
I know what he was thinking. I know he was going for the win. You don't get a trophy for getting second, but come on, man. I mean, across every series, I went back and saw an old ARCA race. This is the third time that Sammy Smith has just cleaned out Taylor Gray.
Yeah.
The third time that Taylor Gray has been on the receiving end of the Sammy Smith experience.
Yeah. When I texted you when I saw it, when I got to watch it, I watched it a little later. I mean, I was absolutely just floored. I mean, I could not believe it. Here's the thing.
I wasn't surprised at all. I saw it. They roll out of turn 2, and you knew.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. He was so far back that I was like, "There's no way he'd try that." And yet here we are.
And then out of all of it, Austin Hill, who in my opinion was one of the biggest defenders of the race, somehow ends up getting rewarded with a gift win.
I know.
Right in his life.
I know.
And in my opinion, he was one of the drivers driving just as bad as.
Hey, I heard that. Yeah, I didn't even see it because so much was happening towards the front that I heard that. Yeah, it was not well. We also had what is it? Here's my take. Here's the thing. Sammy Smith, 2 restarts prior, is lined up right behind Taylor Gray. He shoves Taylor Gray into turn 1. I mean, pretty agreed. Like again. But it was a move, and he moved him way high up the track, washed him way high. Then the caution comes out like right after that. Taylor Gray is going to line up right behind. We knew it. Down into 1, Taylor Gray right on the back bumper of Sammy Smith gently nudges him upwards. Like, I mean, even he did what Sammy Smith did to him, but better and cleaner. And
what you kind of have to do that at Martinsville.
Well, and while I didn't like the move from Sammy at first in that one, I was like, okay, that's Martinsville. That is short track stuff. Getting a guy like that into turn 1, you're right on his bumper in the restart. I get that. When the caution came out, I knew Taylor Gray was going to do it back, and I think that was an even blow. Like Sammy Smith did it to him, Taylor did it back. Like I no problem with that. Like on either party, I really don't. Either party, that was fine. Like whatever. But then late race restart, Taylor Gray gets a great jump. He gets out away from Sammy Smith. Then Sammy Smith is three or more car lengths back into turn 3, and with no intention of making the corner, wrecks him. And he wrecks him and doesn't even pick up the win. I saw an interview with Mark Martin on Door Bumper Clear, and Mark Martin was like, if you're going to do it, at least win.
Exactly.
So it made me so mad. Like, that race was, just in terms of the integrity of, like, the Xfinity Series, awful. I mean, I hated a lot of what I saw. Just drivers having no respect. And it's a thing that we talked about a lot. I mean, Kyle Petty was just on with Kevin Harvick a week ago on Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour talking about a lot of this newer generation not understanding respect. And I hope that all of these drivers right now who are, 8, 12, 16, just getting ready to maybe go into late models, go into legends, all this stuff, are seeing all this and saying, I don't want to be like that. Not saying, oh, so this is okay. Because I think that you could, as a young viewer, take 2 sides of it, as saying, oh, they're doing it, so it's okay. Or I don't want to do that. But right now, it's what guys are having to do because everyone is doing it. We have got to eliminate this culture. It's got to go.
And I don't know how we eliminate the culture. I think it's a good thing that Sammy Smith didn't win.
Oh, I
But
agree.
where are the guys in this series holding these young kids accountable? Because Austin Hill is 30 years old, and he's been just as bad of an offender as
Yeah.
most of them at the short tracks recently. And Sheldon Creed is one of the cleaner drivers, and he's not super young, but he's not super old either. His problem, he can't win a race. Nobody's going to listen to a guy that can't win.
Right. I think,
And
I don't know.
you have the entire future of NASCAR literally sitting on the shoulders of Grant Enfinger and Justin Allgaier.
Right.
You have an entire generation of drivers
Right.
sitting
Well,
on the
and
accountability
I
of
think it's going to take
these
more of
two old
those
guys.
it's going to take more of those young drivers who have the same philosophy, and they're going to do it and have success. And people are going to say, hey, I don't have to go out there and ship a guy off into the corner. I don't have to beat and bang like to get my way. I can do it this way and it works. And it's just going to take more drivers who have the talent to do that, because here's the thing. You either, it's what you and I hear a lot in the leagues that we race in and radios all the time. It's like if you can go pass him, go pass him. But if you have to beat him down, move him, like if that's the only way that you can pass him, you don't have the talent or the car right now to pass him. Whether it be either of the situation, if you cannot get by him without egregiously hitting him or something like that, then you don't need to pass him.
Yeah, and if you want to see clean racing with young drivers, go back to Coda. Watch Connor Zilic and Carson Kvapil.
Yes.
Watch their absolute show they put on at Coda. Two young drivers who have a lot of respect for each other.
And I think they are two of those drivers that could be role models for these young kids and say, hey, I want to drive like this.
Yeah, and you have to have a good head on your shoulders to lead these young kids. And I think that's good for Sammy Smith. Like, look at his teammates. They're three drivers, in my opinion, are all three more talented than him, and all three very respected drivers in the garage. Like, they're going to have to talk to him, because I don't see him not listening to them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you can look at Justin Allgaier and then your two teammates who, yes, they're rookies, but look at how good they're doing this year.
Well, I think Allgaier would be the one, and go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, but you can't look at any of them and say you're not going to listen to them.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. I saw a little clip of it from Dale Jr. Download, and you know, people were saying, oh, NASCAR should park him or Dale should park him, and Dale was like, if you think I'm going to park him, it's just not going to happen. But here's the thing that is going to happen is, I want to know why he made the move and what I can do as an owner and what the team can do to say, where do we go from here to help him learn to say, hey, in a situation to not do that. And I loved that approach, because we see a lot of times in other forms of motorsport, which we're going to get into it talking about Red Bull, of a lot of people demeaning their drivers, not coming around them and helping them. And while Sammy Smith is a little bit more experienced in terms of his time in the Xfinity Series, he still is a younger driver. And so you're going to make mistakes. And while this one was a very egregious mistake and that I hate, I still, at the end of the day, you got to say, all right, how do you improve? And that's what Dale's doing as a team owner and saying, here's what happened. Here's what needs to not happen again. But how do I help you as a team owner and the team to help you get better at, maybe thinking in the moment? Because obviously he got out of the car and he was like, that was stupid. And I'm like, yeah, you think? Why didn't you think about that during the car? And so Dale is going to say, how can I make you smarter when you're in the seat? Because it's so easy to let emotion get over your head and you drive with your heart rather than your head.
Yeah, and I have nothing to add to that because you're 100% spot on. I mean, there's nothing I can say that you didn't just say there. So, if he doesn't learn his lesson, let's say he doesn't listen to Dale Jr., what do you do going forward? If you're not going to listen to Dale Jr., you're not going to win a race clean. Like,
well, if you're not going to listen to Dale Jr., first of all, you're stupid. And
exactly.
but also, if that's
right now where his career is potentially at stake in competitive equipment anyway.
Yeah.
He has the resources. He can stick around in NASCAR as long as he wants to, but he's not going to be in a good situation.
Yeah. Well, and that's why he's got to realize that as a younger driver and say, look, I'm in a precarious position right now, and I've got to go out there and do what I know how to do, and do it to the best of my ability. And so if he wants to continue racing with competitive people and try to move up, maybe get to the Cup Series, if that's what he wants to do, he's going to have to be able to learn. He's going to have to open his mind. He cannot be closed-minded. He's going to have to say, what can I learn from all these talented people around me, because they can help me. Think about it all the time. I think about it when I'm talking with Timothy. I think I know a good bit about racing, especially when it comes to driving. But Timothy, he's got a lot more experience than I do. That's why in every league race that we have, I'm like, Timothy, what are you doing? How can I do better? Go watch my lap, all that stuff, because I can only get so far off of my knowledge alone, and it takes other people that know more than you. That's the whole philosophy of teaching. It goes from, we learn it from when we start as kids, and it involves everything that we do. So I think he's gonna have to be open-minded and say, all right, what did I do wrong? How can I be better? What do I need to do going forward? And I think that's going to have to be his position if he wants to continue with competitive people in the sport.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, just hold on to every last bit of your talent right now, Sammy Smith, if you're on the 1 in a million chance you're watching right now. But you're in a situation, you have talent. Nobody's questioning that. I mean,
no,
you broke the record for most ARCA wins in a season. You're not a bad driver at all. You're just now racing with 20 other drivers who are as fast as you are.
He's better than the decision he made on Saturday.
Yeah, you are better than the decision you made. So go out there and don't make the decision again, because you're going to have more opportunities to get wins, and he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah. So
I don't think he's a one-win Xfinity career guy. I mean,
no,
dude's 20 years old, already in his 3rd season. Like, he's got plenty of time.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. But yeah, I was glad that we got to talk about that, because I was excited to talk about that. That was in our bonehead. That was in our bonehead section.
Long bonehead section. This might be the longest one we ever had.
It was, but that was something we needed to talk about. Badass move of the week. Mine was Connor Hall starting in the mid-pack in the Cars 2 race and finding a way to a P2 finish. He even jumped his right front over the left front. I believe it was the 16 of Chad McCumbee, and the car was somehow fine. And besides that, had a quiet day to finish P2. His worst finish right now is P2.
Yeah, when he did that, when he jumped over McCumbee's quarter
I
panel,
thought he was done.
I thought the car was killed. I was like, the driver and the best equipment in the race just threw it away. And he had on a great night. And no, he just kept passing cars.
Yeah.
I don't know how he
continue to be impressed by him. We're going to get into our final section here tonight, and it is going to be a little bit of what? Go ahead.
You going to let me give my badass move, Scott?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. I'm so sorry. I forgot. We spent so long. We spent so long on Bonehead that I kind of forgot. Go ahead, kind sir.
Now I'm going to be extra long-winded.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you're like that in the first place.
Yeah, I know. Thanks. It's my greatest talent. Mini Tyrell led every lap in the Cars Tour race, and in a field that's as tight as the Cars Tour, on a track with as many opportunities to make mistakes as Wake County.
Serious.
In a race with so many restarts. How did he not make one mistake? How did he not have a bad restart and get shuffled back to second? How did he not get in trouble going through lap traffic? Like, how did he have a perfect race at Wake County? How do you do that?
Talent.
Like, when you take a step back and really analyze, okay, he led every lap. He had a good, fast car. It wasn't just that. When you're in a track that tight of corner, I mean, you go back and watch that race. That's one of the most perfect races I've seen a driver put together in any racing series. I mean, he was perfect from flag to flag.
Yeah. Well, and we've seen it out of both of our winners this year. I mean, Connor Hall did almost the exact same thing at New River.
Yeah, but it felt like Connor Hall had more competition at New River. Drivers was up there with him. I mean,
it's true.
It was a no-doubter from lap one.
Yeah, I agree with you. So,
and it was just so impressive to see that. And but yeah, now we can move into NASCAR, who's really, I guess, our passion of this anyway. We wouldn't have the podcast without NASCAR.
yeah.
I want to start out with ARCA at Five Flags last week. I mean, not a whole lot happened there. It was an ARCA East race, but
Yeah, I just love Five Flags.
Max Reeves won his debut after getting kind of sorted back through the field, and he got up to the front and got up to Connor Mozak, and not near as egregious as what Sammy Smith did, but he got up to Mozak, rode around behind him for a little bit, and finally was like, all right, you're not going fast enough. Moved him out of the way and drove off into the sunset. Do you think that's fair or foul for as long as he sat behind him and waited?
I think he just he just waited behind him instead of trying to pass, trying to force him into a mistake. And yes, Max Reeves is very young. He might not have some of those abilities yet of pressuring a driver to make mistakes and things like that, but he really just kind of sat there instead of trying to make the pass. And then when he decided, oh, we're just kind of riding at this point, and he just moved him. For a young driver, I don't think it was terrible, but I think there were better. I think he had the speed to get around him on his own. But
I don't think it was a dirty move. I just think it was kind of a little bit of a head scratcher that there wasn't a whole lot of.
He had the speed on his own.
He was just kind of sitting there parked behind him, and it was just kind of the whole thing was a little bit of a head scratcher. But I mean, Max Reeves is 14, 15 years old in his ARCA East debut. So I mean, 16. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not going to bash the kid for that. And he wins in his first race. So I mean, it's hard to be mad at somebody for winning in their debut, even if it was a little bit of just a absolute punt move.
Well, and he's someone that you and I need to definitely keep an eye on. But yeah, I was a little bit surprised at his not inability, but that he really just didn't try to pass. He kind of waited, and then it was like, all right, well, but yeah, it was interesting.
And it wasn't a move that I think made me not like the kid, but it kind of it didn't set right with me as wanting to be a Max Reeves fan.
Yeah.
I don't know if you felt anything like that watching it. Just not where you're like, oh, I'm losing respect for this kid already, but just kind of a moment you're like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. I don't know. It wasn't, again, it was one of those things that he's young. It
was a weird scenario.
It was. I thought so too. You don't see all the things kind of like it, and it might be partly because he's advanced so quickly. There might be some things, little fundamentals that he might have missed that he might need to learn now, and things like that may be a few gaps in terms of that knowledge.
And I'm going to skim through the truck race at Homestead, but one cool thing, or I'd say cool, Kyle Larson made up 3 seconds in 4 laps on Corey Heim, which Corey Heim did lose power twice.
I was going to say.
Shut off. But, I mean, it was awesome, but at the same time, I mean, Corey Heim was as fast as Kyle Larson at the end of that run.
Dude, Corey Heim is so good.
I don't think I've ever been impressed with a second-place finish.
Yeah, well, and coasting it to the end with having to refire the truck and all that stuff.
He refired the truck 3 times and still was competing with Kyle Larson with 2 to go. I mean, it was insane.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Just shout out to Corey Heim for having a ridiculous amount of talent.
No, seriously.
Xfinity at Homestead, not really anything crazy to talk about.
No.
Except the very end, Larson going for the sweep, his bid for the sweep of the weekend.
He should have swept too.
Race restart. He just got a little bit pushed up from behind, and Justin Allgaier sweeped in and got the win and the Dash for Cash win. So shout out to Justin Allgaier there. Ryan Blaney dominated the first 200 laps of the Cup race, blew up. Pit road contact took away another top 10 from Joe Logano. Like, yeah. How does that happen? And Kyle Larson rides off into the sunset for another Homestead win. But yeah, let's get to Martinsville. The truck race was...
Look, not often that we see the truck drivers more composed than Xfinity, and yet they were really flip-flopped.
I don't know what to tell you because it was one of the better truck races I've seen. Like, they got close to a green-white checker there at the end. I don't think it ended up being a green-white checker, but it was a lot of contact and a lot of beating and banging towards the end. I was like, here we go. They've had their caution-free green flag finishes all season. Now they're about to have 27 overtimes. And no,
Yep.
they stayed composed and finished out the race. How about Corey Heim rallying from the back of the lead lap all the way to a top 10? Corey Heim is Corey Heim a better Cup Series prospect than any driver in the Xfinity Series right now?
Maybe at this current moment, yes.
At this current moment, would you take Corey Heim over any Xfinity driver?
Yeah.
I
mean, he's raced in Xfinity rides with Sam Hunt Racing. He's done a few things with Legacy Motor Club. Like, he has had his time in the seat, and he has proved that he has the talent, he has the patience, he has the composure, he has the maturity, and so yes, absolutely.
Another thing to bounce off that 2311 is Jesse Love's going to make his Cup debut here in a few weeks.
Yep.
And Corey Heim's made his Cup Series debut, and I love that young drivers are getting 1-off and 2-off Cup races before they move them up to the Cup Series. Like, it's kind of a trial run to see, okay, how composed is he going to be in a 400 or 500 mile race?
Yeah.
What are they going to do when it comes to making a decision around guys with 10 times the experience of them instead of maybe just twice the experience of them? And
Guys,
I really like getting to see a mini preview of a Cup career instead of just throwing them to the wolves.
Oh yeah, no, I fully agree there.
I think we need more of that.
No.
I think we need more part-time rookies in the Cup Series while they're still competing for Truck and Xfinity championships.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a great move, and I like that it's a place that we're going right now. So I think that wraps it up for our NASCAR section, right?
Yeah, we've already talked about the Xfinity.
Oh
joke
yeah.
already.
as what is it? Oh my gosh.
Can we just talk about Corey Day's very bad day?
Dude, oh my. Corey Day and the very, very, very bad day.
Same thing with Carson Kvapil. I mean, Kvapil, Zilich, and Day just had the worst luck ever.
And it wasn't even their fault.
Okay. Like I said, the drivers who were driving with the worst sportsmanship were the ones.
Kvapil and Day, I would say it's not their fault. Zilich was a little bit of a bumper car this weekend.
He's trying to win.
Yeah. I don't think it was terrible. I think there were a lot worse.
There were a lot worse, so I'm not going to be too mad at him. But
no. He was a little too aggressive at some portions.
It's his first trip to Martinsville.
No, I know. And that's why
second trip. I guess he's been there once in a truck.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, you got to reel him back in. I'm just going to finish by saying we didn't even mention Sheldon Creed finishing second again.
What? Bro, I need that bro to win. I like him for whatever reason. I don't know what it is.
It's hard not to like. He's just a likable guy, but I mean,
like, he has the speed so often to win, and something happens. Like, someone is just, like, lights out, or a situation like this, he's just one car off of being in the right position. Like,
I don't know. I don't even know what to say, but yeah, and the Cup race happened. Denny Hamlin won, and it was
an impressive win from him. It really was.
Joey finally broke through for a top 10.
I was so pissed when he got spun, and then he came from 25th all the way to 8th after pitting. After he got spun, I was so happy about that. I was really impressed by Denny Hamlin and being able to get it done with Chris Gale, his new crew chief, who used to crew chief for Ty Gibbs. Actually, mentioning that real quick, Ty Gibbs has had a terrible start to this, awful, and I think it's because he doesn't have Chris Gale.
I mean,
that's the only thing that's changed. I just thought about it the other day.
Speaking of drivers who are having a bad start to their season, and we can go back to the Xfinity Series, William Sawalich is 18th in points, and he's in a Gibbs car.
It's crazy.
Do we sound the alarm on Sawalich yet, or do we
still
give you?
No, not yet. It's still early. Early.
I don't think take him out of his ride, but we might need to start watching him closer, and
I think we do.
Figure out
what's going on.
And I don't know how I feel about him going straight from ARCA to Xfinity.
Yeah.
I don't love that move for anybody. I don't even love it for Zilich, really.
I don't love it for Zilich. The only person I like it for was Quapple because he had like 8 Xfinity starts last year, and he proved that he like had the place to be there and the maturity and talent.
In my opinion, going from the Cars Tour to the ARCA Series is borderline moving down.
Well, I'm saying, I agree.
It's borderline a step down. I get it for Brendan Queen because he doesn't have as much backing as Quapple or Zilich.
Yeah.
And he has to establish himself in a NASCAR series, but I feel like the Cars Tour is higher on the ladder than the ARCA series right now.
Well, yeah, I agree.
Also, IndyCar went to Thermal and Alex Palou won, but that's all that happened.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, and then really there wasn't much for F1. I mean, China, Liam Lawson qualifies 20th in the sprint, qualifies 20th in the race. Piastri lights out from the beginning, leads every lap and wins. Love Piastri. Lewis won the sprint.
That might be my only prediction for this year that's looking good, is that Lewis was going to be great with Ferrari.
Hey, I wouldn't say great yet. Hold on now.
He's already won.
Ferrari still has a lot of chance to screw stuff up.
Hey, he's already been to victory lane once, so
okay, it's a sprint. Whoa, bud, it's a sprint.
He crossed the finish line before the other 19 cars.
It's a sprint, bro. Chill.
We crossed the finish line before the other 19 cars.
All right. It's not a real win.
Whatever. I think it is.
Okay, believe what you want. Then our big news in the F1 world, what we got is Liam Lawson getting demoted back to Racing Bulls. They promoted Yuki. My big thing, we talked about this. What data did they see in the offseason that wanted them to put Lawson in the seat, that now after only 2 races, they're like, whoa, let's backtrack and put Yuki. Like, if they're so quick to put Yuki in, what data was there in the offseason for them to be so confident about putting Lawson in?
I don't know what it is, but I don't think it had to do with the offseason as much as it did. I mean, putting Lawson in the car at the start of the season, yeah, that's all offseason and all data, but I don't think doing the driver swap with the two of them this season had as much to do with Lawson's failures as it did Yuki's success.
No, it had to do the most with Lawson's failures. When they saw him qualify P20, they were like, oh.
Yeah, but still, I mean, Yuki's taking a Racing Bull car and running in the top 10.
No, I definitely agree. But again,
that is more impressive than Liam Lawson doing terrible because, I mean, dang, the end of last year, Checo was borderline a mid-pack guy. I mean, that second Red Bull seat, it is so weird to see a second seat in the F1 team be so much off the first seat. And I know Max Verstappen covers.
I was going to say he does
with the team. I mean, he could finish 13th in an F1 race in my wheelchair.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, that's what he's going to do. So
yeah, I don't know. I just think part of me is I like Yuki, but I'm like, part of me thinks they should have stuck with the decision they made to put Lawson in. Like, they have just put a huge weight
at the start of the year.
Yeah. Like, no, I agree. But I think since they put Lawson in, they should have stuck with it and tried to build him up. Because now he's going to go back to Racing Bulls, and his confidence has got to be shot. Like, I like Lawson. I hope that he can find that in himself again to be competitive and that this doesn't ruin his career. But we've seen this. Pierre Gasly, after leaving Red Bull, went to Alpine. He's done fine at Alpine, but he's done fine. He's ran mid-pack. He's gotten points, like whatever. Same thing happened to Alex Albon. He went to Williams. While Williams has been his home and it's been a good place for him, he hasn't, done stellar. So,
I mean, everybody is mad at what Red Bull is doing to Liam Lawson, but he qualified 20th in a Red Bull.
I know.
You can't do that.
No, I know.
I'm going to say not the biggest F1 fan and the biggest fan of the F1 culture.
Yeah.
But when you have 2 extremely even cars on each team, unlike NASCAR where every car is, even on the same organization, there's a little bit of differences. They have their own crew chief. They have their own engineers on each car at each organization.
Yeah.
They're built the same, but as soon as they leave the shop and get to the track, they're different.
Right.
These Red Bull cars are the same pretty much until the second practice.
Right.
And you can't underperform in F1 like you can
No.
in NASCAR or IndyCar and be a little bit forgiven.
Yeah.
You have to be 2 to 3 positions off your teammate at best.
Yeah.
Or at worst. You
Yeah.
have to. And I know with Max being their number one driver, it is different, but is it really? I mean, if you're not competing, you're out. Their job is to win the
a little bit
manufacturer.
different.
Their job is to win the manufacturer championship. They can't do that with Liam Lawson. I think they can do it.
They should have put Danny Rick in last year.
I think Yuki's
they
better
should have
than
tried
Danny
him.
Rick.
They should have tried him. They should have tried him. I
think Yuki's better than Danny Rick.
Let's see. We'll never know.
Well, we might next year with Cadillac. Who knows? I
Hey,
kind of think Danny Rick's career might be.
I don't know. They've been
over
talking to
there.
Perez. They've been talking to Perez.
I like that. I can't wait to find out who's in those Cadillac seats.
I know it's going to be exciting, but it's going to be a lot, and we're going to have to see how the Japanese Grand Prix goes this weekend with Yuki and them. I wish Yuki all the success he can. They're running there.
Highlights of that the next day because I am not staying up to watch.
Yeah,
Japanese Grand Prix.
I don't even know what time it's at, but I think
Too
that's
early or too late.
Yeah, probably.
It's what time it is. It is nighttime is when it is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that is going to do it for us here from this episode. I know it was a little bit all over the ball, but I'm glad that all of you that stuck with us were here and to the end. We'll be back with you in 2 weeks. We're going to have Japanese Grand Prix. ASA is going to Dominion for the first time. Where else we got? We got NASCAR at Darlington. We'll have the car. We should have the Cars Tour will have gone to Cordele, so we will have that race up towards you in the next episode. We're going to be excited to get to talk to you about all of that stuff coming up. Again, if you're looking for sponsorship, please reach out to us. The B-Main Podcast 2024 at gmail.com. That's all lowercase. We would love to hear from all of you. We always have fun doing this. We miss our co-host, Timothy. He'll be back with us, hopefully, in the next episode. Until 2 weeks, that's us signing off. What?
I was giving a little message to Timothy, wishing you good health back your way.
Good health, Tim. He's probably not watching.
Oh, yeah.
He likes talking.
He does.
As much as he doesn't look like it.
Yeah, but speaking of things coming our way, I hopefully will have some content from one of these next 2 World of Outlaw shows to give to y'all. I don't know if it's going to be integrated into this episode or if it's just going to be on our social media and YouTube pages, but there will be content coming from one of the next 2 World of Outlaw shows, either Arrowhead or I-55. And with a Cars Tour race at Cordele, we will try our best to get some more Cars Tour content your way for the next episode.
Until then, we'll see you.